Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. My name is Heather. I am a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner. And in this video, we are going to talk about energetic protection, what you need to do to make sure that you are protecting your energy. So I worked with just an amazing client. I've had the pleasure of working with her several times now. We've had 2 full sessions, and she's attended a few of the group sessions that I've had, and I just love her. This session that we just did this week, she came to me with a little bit of an attachment issue. She said that she had experienced feeling something actually attach to her, and she wasn't sure what had happened, but she knew that she had an entity or she had something going on. She said she could feel the energy change within her. All of a sudden she began to experience a lot of rage, a lot of anger, and she said, I know when I am feeling those feelings, and these weren't mine. So I knew something else was going on. And so we talked a little bit about, okay, so what was going on when you felt this attachment happen? And she told me that she was channeling. So we dug a little bit further to figure out, was it anything specifically that she had done? And I'll tell you all about what the guides brought through once we were able to release this attachment. But let me tell you a little bit about what happened. So as we went into her session, I use a technique by Laura Whitworth. Laura teaches SCHH, which is Soul Center Healing Hypnosis. If you are a practitioner and you're looking to add a little bit more to or expand your practice, Laura is amazing. I've worked with her a few times now. She's incredible, and her course focuses a lot on entities and attachments and helping these lost souls cross over, what to do when you come across the darker entities, the demonic entities, the reptilian entities, the AI, all of that crazy and not so fun stuff. But she is amazing on teaching you how to deal with that type of thing. So I will leave the link to Laura's website below. She runs classes regularly. She has a 3-day training, and she also sends you a ton of videos, and also session videos where she shows you actual entity removal videos, and they're so very helpful. Once I started taking her training and learning her method, the work exploded with clients who have entities and attachments. And I'm just going to say it's more normal than we think. I don't want to put anybody into fear or to panic that you've got entities, but it's a possibility that you do. I can tell you personally, I had entities that Laura pulled off just recently, and I even had a demonic entity attached to my third eye. It was like clamping onto my third eye. It did not want me connecting. It did not want me to see, but Laura was able to remove it, and I'm doing great. So let's talk a little bit about my client's experience, because I want you to understand how this can happen, but I also want you to understand how you can protect yourself, especially if you are a channeler or if you are channeling and maybe it's new to you. I think when we all get started in these different experiences, sometimes we don't understand how important it is to protect our energy, and we don't realize that we can inadvertently sort of drop our shields and our energy field, and that can allow something to sort of slip in and attach to us very, very quickly. So I'm sharing this with you today because I want to make sure that if you are working on your channeling, and if you're trying to connect with beings from other dimensions, that you are protected before you begin that process. But so this client was channeling. She's working on her channeling. And what the guide said once we got to once we got her clear and we were able to connect with her higher self that said that while she was channeling, she was sort of dropping her aura. And the aura is that field of energy that's around you that keeps you safe and protected. It keeps those things that are around us from attaching to you and getting into your energy field. But she was dropping it, not knowing that she was doing it, but just it was weakening. And in that moment, that allowed this energy, which was very angry, and I'll tell you all about him in just a moment, it allowed him to connect with her very quickly and get into her system. Because she was in sort of that meditative channeling state is what allowed her to feel it and to know that it had attached to her. She experienced it. And she also has the ability to see energies and see things as well. So that allowed her to know that it was there. So lesson number 1 is when you are doing anything like this, when you are connecting to beings from other dimensions, you've got to put your protective measures in place. Now, I do this, I do a lot of protection before and during my sessions. I start working with the guides before any session that I do. I have almost like a checklist that I go through, working with the guides, protecting myself, protecting my client, protecting the session, protecting our connection. I mean, I have a whole checklist that I run through. And then when we're doing the work with the client, I take them through extra layers of protection where we are wrapping them in white light. We are shielding and protecting their energy. And we are making sure that we are only connecting with beings of the highest and most divine love and light. And so it's just how I've been taught. I know most practitioners have some sort of method of protection that they do. But even when you're meditating and you're trying to connect, it's really great to have a good energy hygiene practice, where you're taking good care of your energy. But let's talk a little bit about this entity because it was very interesting. As we were coming through the induction, now again, I use Laura's method, and Laura's method teaches you how to do this work on the very beginning of your session. So I have come to find that it is very, very important as a practitioner that we try to locate any of these energies, any of these entities that need to be removed at the beginning of the session. Because what I have found, at least in my experience, and I know Laura can validate this as well, is that you can get into a session and you may not be fully connected with the higher self. You could have a very powerful entity or attachment that is speaking as the higher self. And I'll tell you, the more that I do these sessions, I've just learned to listen for a frequency, a vibration, and a way that the higher self is speaking to know that I'm actually speaking to the higher self. And I will admit, there's probably been a few attachments, unfortunately, that have slipped through, and I've brought through some incorrect information. But I will tell you, I'm working on this to make sure that I get it right, because I absolutely want to bring through the most, the highest information for my clients. But so we do this work on the beginning because we want to make sure that we're clearing all of this off and making sure that the client has a nice, strong connection to the higher self. So as we come into the session, it's the first thing that we do. And this method allows the client to easily connect with and access where in the body this entity is located. So we pretty quickly located this entity and we brought him up so that he could speak with us. And this was a very angry being. And this was a lost soul. This is what we would call an earthbound spirit. So this is a soul that once had a body, once had a life, but left this earth and did not cross over into the afterlife in the correct way. He got stuck here. And I can't remember if he said he didn't see the light or he was just so angry when he came out of the body that it was just, he just missed it. And that can happen. There are many reasons why souls don't cross over into the light. Sometimes they're scared. They don't know what's going to happen to them. They don't know what to expect. Sometimes they're really angry. Sometimes they just don't see the light at all. Sometimes they come out of the body so quickly that they miss it. There are many, many reasons that souls get stuck here. And they're not stuck forever. I want you to know that they will eventually be able to cross back over. They will eventually make it back home. What the guides have said in sessions is that eventually, as we raise in frequency, they're no longer going to be stuck here. It's going to shift that ability for them to go back home. So I'm looking forward to that day because I know we have a lot of trapped souls here. And I'm ready for them to all make it back home. But this particular soul, so he was attached to her. He was very, very angry, didn't really want to speak to us. But as we did some work on helping to illuminate, bringing in some light for him, helping him to remember what had happened to him, he could remember back to how he died, and he was actually murdered. We come to find out that he was in love with another man, and at the time when he was alive, this was absolutely unheard of. So I tried to ask what year it was. He wasn't sure, but he could tell me that the mode of transportation was very different from the way ours looks today, and they traveled in a horse with a wagon attached. So you can see that was quite a long time ago. That could go back for a good ways. But he was in love with a man, and this was very unheard of. He loved him very, very dearly, and he was murdered by the man that he loved. His brother murdered him. So he was very angry. I mean, you can imagine having your life taken away from the person that you love. And so I went through the process of trying to begin helping to release him, and he didn't want to go. He was like, I'm not leaving. And so I was like, well, why don't you want to go? Come to find out that the person that he was in love with in that life is currently incarnated in this world right now that we're in, but is with someone else. And he's very aware of that. He has that awareness, and he's very angry about that because he said that we were meant to be together in this life, meaning this life that we're in right now, and we're not, and he's with someone else. And so I had to go through the process of explaining to him how time works. We have linear time on this earth plane. And for us, we go year to year, and it can take a lot of time. But I explained to him that when you are on the other side, time does not exist in the way that it does here for us. So things happen in the blink of an eye. So the longer that you stay here attached to this earth plane, it's going to take you that much longer to get to the next lifetime that you can potentially have with the soul that you love, which he felt like was a soulmate for him. So he still was a little bit resistant. He was angry. He was hurting. These souls still retain the same emotions that they had when they came out of the body. That doesn't go away. And when they are attached to you, they are projecting those energies or those emotions onto you. So people sometimes who have, extreme rage or anger or emotions that just come out of nowhere, and you think, this isn't mine. It could potentially be an attachment that is projecting that energy, that emotion onto you, and you are feeling that. You're feeling that energy. So we had to do a little bit of work on him to help him to release some of this anger, because I knew he was not going to let go of my client until we did some healing work on him. So as I started trying to help him to heal and release the emotions that he was holding, something sort of popped in my head that maybe he had something else attached to him. And sure enough, he had a dark demonic energy attached to his chest. So you've got my client who has a earthbound spirit attached to her, and that earthbound spirit has a demonic dark entity attached to him. So it's layers upon layers upon layers sometimes that we're working with. And so I called in my team of angels. Archangel Michael is amazing. The angels are always on hand to do this work. It doesn't matter who you are or what type of hypnosis work that you're doing. Those angels are always right there to help, and I am so, so grateful for them. And Michael assisted with releasing this dark entity from this attachment's chest, this earthbound soul's chest. And Raphael assisted with bringing in some healing frequencies that helped to begin to shift that energy for this soul. And it was interesting because as that energy was pouring in and he was feeling that, and I asked the angels and the guides to really send a lot of love his way because he was so angry, and I wanted him to feel a different emotion than that anger. And he said it just feels weird. It just feels like it's been so long since he's experienced that. And he said, I don't know that I've ever even felt that feeling. It was so foreign to him. Nonetheless, we kept working on him. We kept opening up and trying to release as much of that anger. And after a little bit of work, he finally said, okay, I'll go. He started to understand a little bit more. He gained some clarity. He was ready to go back to the other side so that he could begin to do the healing work that he needed in order to prepare for another life with this soulmate, if that's part of their path. So we were able to remove this entity, and my client instantly could feel that relief. And so after we did some more clearing and checks and making sure her energy system was back the way that it was supposed to do, cutting all of the cords and connections connected to this being, we began talking with the higher self to see what had happened. And the higher self just said she accidentally, not knowing, dropped her energy field around her, and that allowed this attachment to get through. And so in the future, when she's doing this type of channeling work, the first thing that she needs to do is protect her energy. And so at the beginning of the session, we had talked about some ways, some things that I do for energetic protection. One of the things that I do just about every day is I place a pyramid of white light around my home. Now, I also ask Michael and the angels to come in and do a sweep of my home, removing all negative energies, negative entities, any beings who are not here serving my greatest and highest good, closing any portals or open vortexes. I just have a little thing that I run through. You can sort of say it anyway, but you can call in your guides to do this clearing work around your home. Ask them to protect your home. Ask them to protect your energy. They came through very strongly in this session and said, call on us. Ask us to help you before you do this work. That's what we're here for. But in the session, they said the pyramid of white light that I had mentioned to my client before the session, they said place that also around your body. So when she's doing the work, she can visualize a pyramid of white light just fully surrounding her body. And that's a great way of protecting her energy. A pyramid is a very strong geometric shape and holds a lot of protective energy and ability when we are visualizing that in our meditations. You can also do it by visualizing white light or a different color of light. You can call upon your guides, your team of light, to clear your energy and surround you in light. There's so many ways of doing it. You just have to find the one that resonates with you. You can also use crystals and things. I have several crystal bracelets that I wear before my sessions and some necklaces that I put on that have crystals and help with that protection. So if you're doing channeling, that might be something that you want to surround yourself with some crystals or some bracelets, things like that, and ask those crystals to protect you. Ask them to keep you nice and safe and protected. And those are some ways that we can take care of our energy and keep ourselves protected, especially when we're trying to connect with beings or loved ones or whoever we're trying to channel and connect with. It's so important that you first protect your energy before you open yourself up to do that work, because there is lots of things around us. I can promise you there are more things energetically around you than you could even possibly imagine. So keeping your energy safe and protected as you go out into the world, and just even as you go through your day, is very important. And I just really wanted to share this with you just as a great example of how easy it is. And even someone who is, she's been doing a lot of work on herself, and she's worked with me in different sessions. And so her energy, she's been doing the energetic work of cleaning out her system, but it's still just that easy for us to drop our energy field, and something that is very angry and very determined can get attached to us so easily. So again, nothing to be fearful of or worry about. This is just, strangely enough, a part of our reality that I think we're going to learn quite a bit more about it as we continue to raise our frequency and vibration and tap more into this information. I will tell you, Laura just shared a post, Laura Whitworth again. She shared a post where she just recently had a conversation with a dark entity attached to one of her clients. And she asked the question, why is it that we're finding you guys all of a sudden? And it's not all of a sudden. I know many practitioners have been doing this work for a while, but it does seem like maybe it's becoming easier to find these attachments and find these things that are attached to a client. And the dark energy or entity said, it's because for so long humans were of the same vibration or similar, we were of a lower vibration. So when we were working with clients in hypnosis, we were sort of matching that same frequency, that same vibration. We couldn't really sense them. But now you've got all these light workers and starseeds that are raising their vibration, raising their frequency, doing the inner work, releasing the density, and we're becoming we're becoming light, we're becoming lighter, we're becoming higher vibration. And so it said, you are now able to sense us in a way that you've never been able to sense us before. And I will say that is absolutely rings true for me. And it's taken me a while doing this work to really feel confident about it. But I can hear a different frequency or vibration in the way that a person is speaking as to whether it's the higher self or an entity. And I've been in the middle of a session thinking that the information is flowing really well, and then I hear one thing and it's off to me, and I go in and find out who it is, and it's an attachment. So we clear that and we start over. And that's just the way we have to do it. But the more that you do this work, the more that you're raising your vibration and shifting your frequency, you're going to be able to tell within a person when they have that attachment or when they have that energy that's not quite right. You're like, something's not quite right there. It's almost like you can feel it. So I think it's going to become so much easier for those who are doing this work, and helping, assisting clients to release these energies, release these entities, clear out their energetic system. I think it's going to become easier for us to do that work in the future. And I can say I am definitely looking forward to that. So I hope you enjoyed this little example. Wonderful client. It was so lovely to work with her again and to do this work, help her get this entity off and to help him get back to where he was going. You have to remember that these souls, a lot of times they're just here trying to figure out what they need to do as well. They're just as confused sometimes as we are. So just to help them cross back over, and hopefully this soul can now get the healing that he needs and to continue releasing some of this anger, because he was not a happy one. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helped you in some way. Don't forget to take care of that energy. It is really simple to do. You just have to add it into a regular routine because it's so important, especially if you are doing any type of energy healing work, any type of quantum healing, any type of channeling, anything that you're trying to connect with higher dimensional beings. Make sure that you are nice and safe and protected before you do so. Thanks so much for listening to this video. I'll talk to you in the next one.